fuck is running this show?
Good? Clap. Sweet.
I snap when I'm really drunk. When I'm really, really like blackout drunk.
You snap?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
It's just a habit.
I don't know.
of yours.
I'm blacked out when I do it.
When does it start?
When it's time to go to bed.
You just start
When
snapping.
I've had too many. Watch out. Watch your phone. Oh, it looked like it was sliding.
All right. Richard Swift. Cheers.
Cheers.
Drinking whiskey.
Thor. That's a strong handle. Thor.
Born with it.
Is that your? Yeah, that's your real name.
Yeah.
So
Richard,
you really
your real
were.
name?
You really did grow up a hippie.
Yeah. Hippie parents. Thor.
What are your parents' names?
Loretta and Brett.
Brett.
Kind of boring.
Brett is my manager's name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So if you were gonna punch someone in the face, alive or dead, who would it be?
Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly. Why?
I just find him really annoying, basically.
Do you watch his program?
No, I've just gone down enough internet trails that have led me to his show, interviews and whatnot. You know, it's kind of hard to escape him. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. There's just something about Bill O'Reilly that really fucking bothers.
So you would punch Bill O'Reilly in the face. Where would you punch him?
Probably. Oh man, there's been times where I've been tempted to do the up the nose so the nose goes back
kill
into
shot.
the brain. Yeah, the
Yeah.
kill shot.
I don't know if I've heard that doesn't actually work, but
Oh, really?
it's a good idea. Because I don't think it can puncture the skull.
An urban legend.
Perhaps.
Um,
Karate teacher told me that.
Oh really? Pulled you aside one day.
Hey, you can't be doing that.
Stop, Thor. Hey Thor, comma. Stop asking me about the fucking kill shot. Okay? It's
You're not gonna kill him.
It's bullshit. Chuck Norris made it up for Delta Force 4. Delta Force 4.
I guess more music related. What are you working on or interested in right now?
Right now I'm in the middle of recording this band from France called Tahiti 80. And this is their 5th or 6th full length. Yeah. So we've just been.
Do you feel
doing
like
vocals.
Americans know who they are?
I think so. I mean, when I lived in Southern California, a lot of people were passing that record around. That
Yeah?
CD, sorry, that CD around. And yeah. Here, put this in your CD burner. Yeah. I think so. I mean, they're great.
Yeah.
I'm not that familiar with their other records other than, listening to them with friends back in the day. But this new stuff is really great.
I feel like you tend to focus on projects with some depth.
Yeah.
Where do you feel like that plays with them?
Well, they're all like family guys, and they're all older than me, and so it's kind of, I think there's depth. Just Xavier's actually going through a divorce right now, and so a lot of the lyrics I think have to deal with that. I didn't realize that until we talked about it the other day. So, there's like some pretty heartbreaking kind of lyrics if you know the situation he's in.
I have a little bullet point here.
I like it.
A
A friend of mine says that only white people buy these.
I am white,
Yeah,
so
you are
that
white, so,
relates
yeah,
to that point.
It works.
I don't even write down questions. I just write down bullet points to help
that's
me
good.
while I'm drunk.
Yeah. Are you feeling it now?
Not quite, but I feel like it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
But it's there. So you didn't go to
It's
college?
No.
Neither did I. How do you feel?
I went maybe like half a semester.
I went for like 2 semesters.
Okay.
How do you feel about college as like a stigma of something you have to do, and what you've been able to accomplish with or without it?
Um, I don't know if it's like an East Coast versus West Coast thing, but I think on the East Coast, a lot of my friends on the East Coast are more concerned with college and like what school they went to. Like
Can
I'm
see
good
that.
friends with the Walkman, and I'm managed by the same people that manage fucking Vampire Weekend,
All right.
right? So and those guys went to schools
Yeah.
on the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of this thing with them, you know, like.
You have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe a little more expected for some reason. And again, I'm not trying to, stereotype, but a lot of my friends from the East Coast really care about like going to school and stuff. And I don't know. I just my grandmother wanted me to go to college, and she left me a college fund, which I spent on not college, But and the other day I saw an ad or somebody mentioned on like Hulu, like saving, like my kids don't even have a college fund. We spent their college fund. Oh, on a restaurant, that's what it was. And and I was like, a fucking college fund? What the fuck is that? And
Yeah.
I have 3 daughters, and I don't give a shit about a college fund. I think that if I had a bunch of college kids come here, like pro audio college kids, they'd be horrified by the way that I make records.
Yeah.
So I think it's been good. I
Speaking-
spent all that time kind of educating myself essentially.
All right.
So.
Speaking of horrified college students, I read that you tend to work on essentially no budget.
No, that's not true.
No, not true.
That's not true. Working on records, you're saying?
Yeah.
No, I mean there's always
Your own
budgets.
records.
Oh, my own records. Yeah, there's hardly ever budgets
Yeah.
involved.
I guess that's what I was referring.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, my stuff. Well, sure, but I still get money from Secretly Canadian advances and whatnot, and publishing advances and stuff like that.
to. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I just kind of, I've got this place, so I get to record kind of whenever I want to.
So you're recording your own stuff.
Yeah, right now, yeah. Yeah, off and on, and then writing a lot. I've got a lot of scraps of ideas, and I've recorded, 4 or 5 tracks that I think could make the next record. I've recorded tons of tracks, but these 5 tracks, I kind of did like in a 2 or 3 days, and I'm kind of counting that as one chunk of
Yeah.
songs and stuff, and then in between records, making records for other people, then I'll have another couple days where I just kind of spit out these other songs and then
Yeah.
put them away. This day and age, because budgets are limited, and I've got to make a living, I've got to be able to get a band in here, record rather quickly, which I think actually helps kind of inform the music anyways, but it's also a budget thing. Like I can't give, a month to somebody unless they pay me the right amount of money, essentially, But then I've done a lot of projects here and there for close friends or projects that I believe in that don't have budgets, and I've worked with them for free, Pure Bathing Culture, the first EP I did with them, that got them a record deal. I'm pretty sure I did that basically for free.
All right. So you're keyboardist in the Shins.
Mhm.
What's your involvement with them lately?
Well, right now, James. Right now, James is promoting his the new Broken Bells record. So Shins are on hiatus. We were on the road for, about 2 years, I think, promoting the last Shins record. I recorded a couple tracks for us for record store day, 7-inch, and then James and I are talking about when and how we're going to start recording the new Shins record after the Broken Bells cycle, essentially.
Yeah.
I hate that word cycle, but at that point it actually is like a cycle, you know. I think they're just promoting the record, you know, touring minimally because Brian's super busy as well, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've heard that record. It sounds really cool.
I've noticed, like you said, a lot of the work you've done is kind of offbeat. I've also noticed there's, at least on certain albums, there's a suicidal element to it.
Mm-hmm.
In lyrics.
Yeah.
And you can approach this in any way you want, but just what is your opinion on suicide as a subject?
Man, it's tough to talk about suicide without, I feel like, getting too emo about it or something. Too like, what do you think about,
that
what do
can
you think about cutting? I've dealt with like a lot of depression, especially when I was in early on in California, in Southern California. Depression and some pretty severe anxiety. So I've definitely felt like I've been to that point. I've never like had a gun in my mouth, you know.
Yeah.
But cheers. But yeah, you know, and part of it, I'm not even sure if it's like a physical thing. I don't think it's a spiritual thing. I think it's more of like an ego thing in a way, you know, that like on artists and repertoire where I say my name will go missing, but the songs will be here.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of like, I don't really necessarily, you know, or like Richard Swift sells out. It's like, it's tongue in cheek. It's like, you know, it's kind of, I was talking to a friend the other day and I equate it to that Monty Python song, the always look on the bright side of life, you know.
Yeah.
Life's a piece of shit if you look at it, you know, like it's part comedy, you know, like yeah, it's just kind of like I'm making these songs. It's therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
I like how these things sound. They turn me on, you know, and they turn on my friends, and they turn on other people, strangers that I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
And but I also know that, like, you know, it's like you don't want to overthink it, but it's like we're all gonna be fucking dead, you know, and our grandchildren are gonna be dead, and our great grandchildren are gonna be dead, and like our names are gonna go missing.
Yeah.
And like that's okay, but like there's technology exists that like can kind of carry on some sort of thing that states like you were here and that you kind of cared. Maybe you were a little too sensitive, but you cared about like the little details that everybody can kind of relate to. You know?
Yeah. I feel like artists often live for that. I mean, I feel like many artists don't value their own existence, and the thing they live for is the thing that's gonna reach beyond however long they live.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people, well, I mean, it could just be a personality thing too. A lot of artists I know are like introverted extroverts. Like,
Yeah.
you have like all these like private emotions that you kind of pour into a song or pour into, you know, a painting or whatever it might be, or a, you know, a web series, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you never know like who it's gonna reach and who it might kind of inspire at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know?
You just put it out there.
We're really turning into hippies now.
Next question.
Inspire, yeah.
Would you rather be homeless or in prison?
Homeless. Fuck yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Because that's very free. It's kind of like a strange ultimate freedom, because that would really, really strip you of all comforts. You know, it's just
It's true.
you and nature. And I feel that I could con my way back into society somehow if I was homeless. You know, you just save up the
However,
right
you're
amount
not
of money.
guaranteed shelter, meals.
I know, yeah, but you can sort that out. I mean, there are places you can go. I think most homeless people, a lot of homeless people are mentally unstable for the most part.
Yeah.
People that have to like sleep in their cars for a couple months and stuff. Like, I think that's a little different than your typical kind of homeless person that's screaming to nobody
Yeah.
in the middle of the street.
screamers.
You know, those people are going to either be in mental institutions or homeless. You know, Oregon years ago shut down because of lack of funding. Shut down 3 or 4 mental institutions at the same time, and also hitchhiking is legal in Oregon. So I think that combination is like really weird. You
Yeah.
know, it's like you're just asking for weird social stuff to go on. You know, yeah. So I'd rather be homeless. There's no
Speaking-
fucking way. I would never want to go to prison.
It's shitty. I will not doubt that at all.
Would you rather be?
To not being in prison.
Yeah, to not being in prison. Cheers to that. Not being caught.
We do the crimes, we don't do the time.
Would you rather be mauled by a bear or eaten by a shark?
I would so be eaten by a shark.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you drown at some point.
My
but it's
philosophy
like
is you
razor
should die in
shark.
the most badass way, regardless of what's happening.
But a
Shark
bear, a
wins.
bear plays with you. Like it crushes
Oh,
your
yeah.
skull,
So do
that
killer
you're
whales.
just kind of. Oh, really?
Yeah, they throw you up in the air.
There's that new documentary, Blackfish, right? That's about a killer whale.
I've heard about that, yeah. All right.
That's terrible. Bourbon.
So it's not terrible. Are you kidding me?
It's not terrible. It's bad.
It's
It
it's
just
mediocre.
It hit me in a terrible way. Just there.
So you produce music.
Mhm.
You make your own music.
Yep.
Some things I'd like to ask. I'd like to know about some clusterfuck moments in producing or making music.
Okay. Do it, man. I'm way more comfortable. Well, I'm comfortable working on other people's projects because I don't take any of the blame.
Yeah,
They will for the most part.
because they don't know who's producing it.
No. Nobody buys like LPs or CDs, you know, to like look at the look at the credits or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, not nobody, but majority.
Few people.
A majority of people, I would say. You know, that's fine. That's great. I've actually never had a real clusterfuck of a situation. I worked with a band once that ended up scrapping the record that we did together, but that had nothing to do with me.
You've never had a clusterfuck situation with like playing a show or recording your music?
Playing a show. Well, the van that I own had like a fuel filter problem, so we had to drive from Lancaster, Pennsylvania to Chicago, not going above 30 miles an hour, because every time we'd go above 30 miles an hour, the van would die because the fuel filter was clogged.
Yeah. What did you do?
Well, we drove, or maybe it was Columbus, and then we got the van fixed in Chicago. Anyways, it doesn't matter. We just drove through the night at 30 miles an hour, which is really terrible. It's a really ball-busting thing to go through on tour. And we'd been on tour for almost a month at that point.
Yeah.
So it was really degrading. Yeah. And I lost like 10 grand on that tour too.
How so?
Well, because I paid my band and paid a tour manager, merch person, and paid for all the gas, and I paid for everything.
A lot of your lyrics seem to deal with your personal family life, or as of recent at least. How do you feel about your personal family life versus the family life you grew up with? Like creating your own family versus the family you grew up with.
Well, we do like pretty much the opposite of how I was raised, you know. My kids aren't really raised around, well, they're not at all raised around a religion, and they're, I don't know, we're like really open with them, you know, as opposed to, I think that maybe the way I was raised, you know.
Yeah. How does that work out for you?
Well, great, because I get to kind of relive my childhood. You know, I treat my kids the way that I wish I was treated, you know, without being too spoiled or something. You know?
Yeah.
But all my kids are, you know, artistic and free as people. You know, our middle daughter Anna came out to us. She's 13. She came out to us maybe 5 or 6 months ago. You know, and feels completely comfortable talking to us about it. And initially, and now, I mean, it's like not. It's never been a thing. It's not been a thing since.
What do you feel is the worst thing in the world?
The worst thing in the world.
What's the worst?
What is
a
the
feeling,
worst thing in the world?
a person, whatever it may be.
I think the worst thing in the world is probably anxiety and panic attacks.
All right. And why?
Because I think that they can really take productive people out of our society for a time being, you know, and sometimes forever. I think that technology probably helps in a lot of ways, because we don't really know if cavemen weren't having panic attacks because they were sleeping in mud, you know, and they didn't know like where their next meal was coming from necessarily. Yeah. So
how does technology help that?
Well, we're just like more comfortable, you know.
Yeah, we're having an easier time.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you really, really have a ton of anxiety, you can always take a Xanax.
That's true.
Chill out. I haven't taken the Xanax in 3 weeks.
Speaking of which, you seem like the kind of musician that would have experimented in psychedelic drugs and things that can alter the mind. How do you feel about that, and what have you done?
I think that, should be, I think that everybody, well, no, actually, I don't think that everybody should experiment with mind-altering drugs, but I think that certain people are prone to it, and if you're prone to it, then like maybe you should try it. I've never, I smoke herb and I drink from time to time, but
How much is from time to time?
with drinking,
Yeah.
well, it's been 2 weeks since I've had a drink.
Outside of that, a regular situation.
Every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
Alright.
Um,
Because I know you're
But-
sick.
yeah. Well, that I think played into me being sick or me not getting
Of
better
course.
right away.
Yeah.
But no, I've never taken acid. I've just because to me it seems like it would be too long. So in terms of psychedelics, I've just taken a lot of mushrooms over the last 15 years, and then smoked salvia maybe 4 or 5 times over the last 5 years.
How do you feel about your music in terms of how it relates to the way the music industry is moving?
How do I see my music? Well, I don't know, because
Do you think it's relative or off kilter?
I think that, well, I think that it's relative in the sense that it could be relative one day. We live in a time where there's whole record labels now built on the fact that they release rare, unheard of records that only sold X amount of low amount of copies or no copies at all, and they just made them up for friends, and it just happens to be a really badass soul record.
Yeah.
Which, that sort of thing, other than folkways, like really never existed in the 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
So I think that if anything, music that I make will be heard, for a long time because of technology, or because of iTunes or YouTube or whatever it might be, Spotify. Drink up. There we go.
Hey, hold on.
I'm in the middle of recording a proper Swift LP. Like I said earlier, I've got, chunks here and there where I just kind of record a lot. And then Walt Wolfman, it's kind of like a bad dad joke or something.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah, adding the Wolfman thing, I don't know.
Was there any
Jekyll and Hyde
was
thing.
there
I don't
any
know.
inspiration?
I just haven't even. I've never thought about it.
Was
so.
there any inspiration with the Wolfman part, or is that just humor?
I just thought it was. I just thought, honestly, they were like funny words to put together.
That's totally
and
fine.
the image as well. Like there's something.
I'm totally behind that.
Like it's funny, but like not in a because it's not that funny.
And the rest will be just me fucking bullshitting, pretending I'm aware of what's going on.